Hello everyone in the second part in lesson 1 which is chemical combination. Now we'll talk about chemical bonds. Atoms combine with each other forming molecules through chemical bonds. We have two types of chemical bonds. We have ionic bond and covalent bond. Ionic and covalent. What about combination of metals and nonmetals? Metals and nonmetals are combined with each other by ionic bond. Ionic bond is the bond that occurs between a metal atom and a nonmetal atom and is resulted from electrical attraction between a positive ion and negative ion. How is ionic bond formed? It takes place between metal and nonmetal. Metal atom loses one electron, one or more electrons as we said, and it changes into positive ion. But nonmetal atom gains these electrons that are lost from metal atom and it changes into negative ion. So a strong electrical attraction between positive and negative ions is formed. Okay, as sodium and chlorine. Sodium loses one electron to give it to chlorine, and chlorine takes it and changes into negative ion. So the electrostatic attraction occurs between sodium and chlorine and forming bond between them. This bond is called ionic bond. So, an electrostatic attraction occurs between the sodium's positive ion and the chlorine negative ion to produce the ionic compound of sodium chloride, table salt. As in magnesium, magnesium loses two electrons and oxygen gains two electrons. When the magnesium loses them, so the oxygen takes them to form electrostatic bond or electrostatic attraction bond between them. This bond is called ionic bond, as we say, as we said. Okay, as we see in this figure, ionic bonds produce ionic compounds only. Why? Because ionic bond is formed by combination between two different atoms, metal and non-metals. What about covalent bond? Covalent bond is a bond that occurs between two nonmetal atoms, where each atom shares, participates the other with the same number of electrons from its outermost shell, equal to the number of electrons that it needs to complete its outermost shell. Okay, so it is the bond that occurs between two nonmetal atoms. Okay, we have three types of covalent bond. We have single covalent bond, double covalent bond, and triple covalent bond. Single covalent bond, it is a chemical bond which arises between two nonmetal atoms, where each atom shares the other atom with one electron. It is represented by one line, joining two atoms. Example, okay, hydrogen molecule, H2. Hydrogen molecule give reason when the hydrogen and hydrogen will combine with each other, so each atom of them share with one electron to form a single covalent bond because they are two nonmetals. So the bond in hydrogen molecule is single covalent one because each hydrogen atom shares with one electron to complete its outer shell, K level, with two electrons and becomes more stable. What about double covalent bond? It is the bond which arises between two nonmetal atoms where each atom shares other atom with two electrons. It is represented by two lines, as in oxygen molecule. Oxygen and oxygen, they will combine with each other by double covalent bond because each atom shares with two electrons to the other atom. Okay. Give reasons the bond in oxygen is a double covalent bond. Why? Because each oxygen atom shares with the two electrons to complete its outer shell with 8 electrons and it becomes more stable. Excellent. What about triple covalent bond? Triple covalent bond, it is the bond which arises between two nonmetal atoms where each atom shares other atom with 3 electrons. It is represented by 3 lines, as in nitrogen. Nitrogen and nitrogen, they will form nitrogen molecules by sharing each atom by 3 electrons to the other atom. Give reason the bond in nitrogen molecule is triple covalent bond. Is triple covalent one because each nitrogen atom shares with 3 electrons to complete its outer shell with 8 electrons and it becomes more stable. Covalent bonds produce element molecules between two nonmetallic similar atoms. And also it will produce compound molecules produced due to combination between two nonmetallic different atoms and are called covalent compounds as HCl, hydrochloride. This is called covalent compounds because they will combine with each other by covalent bond. Now we can compare between ionic bond and covalent bond. Ionic bond it is formed by lose and gain of electrons, but covalent is formed by sharing electrons. Ionic it arises between metal and non-metal. Covalent arises between two non-metals. Ionic it is formed between two atoms of two different elements. Covalent it may be formed between two atoms of the same element or different elements. Ionic it is formed due to electrical attraction between positive and negative ions. Covalent is formed due to sharing the electrons between the atoms. Ionic it has one type. Covalent has 3 types, single, double, triple. Ionic it produces compound molecules. Covalent it produces elements and compound molecule. Give reasons. The number of electrons in magnesium ion equals the number of electrons in sodium ion. When magnesium loses 2 electrons, so the number of electrons in its ion is 10. While when sodium loses 1 electron, so the number of electrons in its ion is or are 10, also are 10. Noble gases don't participate in the chemical reactions under ordinary conditions because their outermost energy level is filled by electrons. So they don't lose or gain electrons and they don't form positive or negative ion. Electric wires are made of aluminium. Why? Because aluminium is a metal which is good conductor of electricity. Okay. It's not important one, but noble gases don't participate. It's very important one, very important question. Noble gases don't participate in chemical reaction under ordinary conditions because their outermost energy level is filled or is completely filled with electrons. Okay? Now thank you everyone for listening. See you in the next lesson. Bye bye.